You are listening to Offstage with DJ Law on Latino USA Radio. Don't forget to tell a friend and download Latino USA TV app and press the radio link.
It's cold like ice, chill. Come over. I'm cold like ice, chill. Come over.
You have arrived to Offstage with DJ Law, bringing you the best local, regional, and international music genres with interviews and positive vibrations. Thank you for joining Offstage with DJ Law. Offstage with DJ Law is a behind-the-scenes showcase of the artists, their music, and some of their life stories and experiences. Today, we have the honor of having music legend Joey Navarro as our guest. Joey is a third-generation Mexican-American Chicano from a small farming town of Tolleson, Arizona, just outside of West Phoenix. Joey discovered his music talent at a very young age and was considered a child music prodigy. He started his first band at 11 years old and still is playing to this day. After graduating high school in 1980, he formed the Joey Navarro Project. In 1988, Joey landed a major record deal with Island Records and released an album called On the Rocks, which is a fusion of funk, R&B, and sounds of the mid-'80s. At the age of 23, Joey started playing a new genre of music called contemporary jazz. He was also touring with major recording artists as a keyboardist and musical director. After years of honing his skills on the road, Joey returned home and took a 4-year sabbatical with music teacher Ernesto Chavarria, also known fondly as El Maestro. After completing his 4-year tutelage under Chavarria, Joey found the road and stage calling him again. In 2001, Joey relocated to Los Angeles to seek opportunities as a premier keyboardist and producer. Since then, his list of musical credits include working with Tierra, El Chicano, Andy Vargas, Pete Escovedo and the E Family, Jeffrey Osborne, Tom Scott, Connie Cole, Sister Sledge, Ralfredo Reyes Jr., Oscar Cartaya, Brandon Fields, Ursi Arvizu, Leland Sklar, Jim Keltner, Don Robinson from En Vogue, Jennifer Page, DW3, and a long list of other major artists. Joey also produced a CD entitled Soul Groove with the famous recording artist Kyle Wolverton in 2009. After its release, one of the songs on the CD called Can't Stop the Feeling rose to number 7 on Broadcast Architecture's Smooth Jazz Top 20 list. Joey also worked with Greg Adams and East Bay Soul. He co-wrote an entire recording project for Ursi Arvizu, which was produced by Ry Cooder, the same producer of the infamous The Buena Vista Social Club. In 2005, Joey was asked to join the legendary Chicano group Tierra, and in 2010, he also was invited to join the infamous group El Chicano. In 2012, he formed the Joey Navarro Latin Funk Band, who played regularly at the Baked Potato in Studio City, California. In 2014, Joey joined forces with Grammy-winning producer Paul Brown and recorded Grover Washington's Strawberry Moon, which was a successful production. In 2017, Joey became an instructor for Los Angeles College of Music, where he enjoys teaching and giving his students real-life experiences. On March 10th, 2022, Joey was recognized at the Arizona House of Representatives on the floor for his musical achievements, and he received a proclamation by his home state of Arizona. Being a lifetime musician, Joey has many musical experiences to name. His most cherished endeavor is his LA-based group, the Joey Navarro Latin Funk Band, which features mostly all original music, including his own arrangements of cover songs. It's one of his most challenging bands that features world-class musicians from Los Angeles and one that he is really proud of. Before we conversate with Joey, I'm going to play one of his original songs called Anaconda off the album After School. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you for coming to the Offstage with DJ Law show along with my co-host Patrick Murillo. It's an honor to have you, Joey, as well as your brothers Art and David Navarro.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Yeah. I asked them to join me because, I've done many interviews on my own. But, since we're back in Arizona, I just, number one, felt like hanging with them. Number two, I love these type of conversations, So they always have something that I may have forgotten about, or another point of view.
So where were you born and raised?
I was born in St. Joseph's in Phoenix, right? And we actually lived in Phoenix before we moved to Tolleson. I think I was already probably 8 or 9 years old when we did move. I went to kindergarten through 3rd grade at P.T. Cole, which is off of 35th Avenue and almost like Thomas? I think Art went there too.
Yeah, it was
right.
39th.
Yeah. So my parents, I think my father had acquired the property that was probably in the family for years, but I can't recall how the decision was made to move back to Tolleson. So I just remember going from P.T. Cole, 3rd grade, ending up in Tolleson, and it was just like, as a 4th grader, like the whole world changes.
Well, it's a small town over there.
Different onda, man.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Did any of your family have any musical background or influence on you?
Yeah, actually on both sides, man. I know what I know about my mom's side of the family. My grandfather had a band with his brothers. How many brothers were there?
There were 7 villas, and they were called the Los Villas, actually, and that was in the 40s. And from what I hear is that they were like the first group that played at the San Carlos Hotel downtown Phoenix.
Whoa!
But there were 7 brothers, and they were pretty well known throughout the valley at that time and stuff.
So was it your father that was playing the music?
No, it was actually my grandfather, right? Yeah, Manny.
Yeah, it was
Manny Villa. Well, incidentally, both sides of the family are from Tolleson, so there's some deep roots there. On my father's side, he kind of dabbled. I think Dio Chino was also a bit of a guitar player, right?
Yeah.
But we have a couple of cousins that you may be aware of that have been part of the Phoenix scene for quite a long time. One being Frankie Mighty Mouse Favela, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
the Conguero, right?
Yeah. And Rudy
Favela.
His brother, is a talented jazz guitarist. So
that's that guy that we played with?
Yeah, Mr. Submarine.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Submarine. Mr. Moreno, man. Yeah. So he's our cousin from my dad's side of the family, and I think I got the brunt of it from my mom's side. Yeah.
But neither of your parents played music or sang?
No,
or anything?
not really. Not
so
really.
Jumped the generations, huh?
Some, I would say so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like you say, like every other generation and stuff, but
yeah,
like mostly I think it was on my grandfather's side, and then I kind of skipped a generation and we picked it back up, so.
Right on. Were there certain types of music you listened to as you grew up?
Well,
and if so, what? I mean, I know
yeah.
you did, but what type of music did you like?
Well, from the very start, man, we were just always exposed to the R&B music that was happening at the time, the Chicano music. Well, back then, Jesus, I think one of my first memories was when we were living still in Phoenix. Art had a record player and he had a record collection. It's the first time I ever heard El Chicano. Well, one of the first records I've ever heard on the turntable.
How old were you at that time?
How old was I, Artie? David was probably three years old.
Yeah, when we were in Phoenix, we moved out. 3-4 years old. So it'd been 8 or 9 at that time.
Yeah, but David was probably like, when I got that, I was in the late '60s. So
yeah. What year were you born, Dave?
67.
67.
All right, you're my age.
I'm the baby.
He's a baby. Yeah. But Revolucion was I think the one that's kicked it off because I was drawn to the B3. You know, one of my favorite tunes from that album was Sugar Sugar. Ding, 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 ding. I said, Mom, I like that sound, right? Yeah, that's how it all started.
Okay. And so were there any particular events or experiences in your childhood that sparked your interest in music, to play music?
Well, it all started coming together when my parents gifted me with a toy organ, right? I think they were called magnums that sound like an accordion, right?
Yeah,
and it had
was a little air pressure.
Yeah. So it had the buttons on the left side, and it sounded just like an accordion, you know. But that's when I discovered that I can pick tunes and melodies out and remember the timing. You know, it all started by ear.
And that's when you were 6, right?
Yeah, 6 years
young.
old. Yeah.
So how long were you playing that organ that they gifted you?
What had happened is that my parents saw that I really loved it, you know. And I remember Mom coming in, and she would kind of mess around with it too, you know. So she put all these decals on it, and I think it was the next Christmas when they got that gem organ.
Yeah.
Were we still in Phoenix when they got the gem, or were we already in Tolleson?
I think we were already in Tolleson.
Already in Tolleson, right?
Yeah, because then their next step was that big old organ from Alvaro.
Oh yeah, well that was years later, but I remember. The gem
I
organ.
think maybe we were in Phoenix, but yeah.
I can't recall.
Which side of the street in Tolleson do you guys live on?
What do you mean?
North of Van Buren, south of Van Buren.
We're
right on the corner
south side.
Adams.
Yeah, right on the corner of 91st and Adams.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's south of Van Buren.
2 blocks south of Van Buren. Yeah.
Yeah, you're either Food Valley or Sunshine Market. We're Puro Food Valley.
Puro Food Valley.
You weren't from Happy Town, were you?
My grandfather's sister had a flower shop there in Tolleson. Mary's,
yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. It was
Murillo's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not Murillo from there.
And the Riveras.
Riveras, that's the name. Yeah. Well, man, Mary's has been there for
Small world.
Yeah. I mean, we're old school. We moved there probably 72, right? When the house was built.
We moved 70 to rent, and I think the house was done
we
in
built
71,
the house.
72, yeah.
Yeah, and the house that was rented was actually on Fillmore. That used to be like a church, right?
Yeah, it was right across the street from your cousin Steve Alvarez's house.
With all the sisters and...
Hey, T-Town's going to love this conversation. I'll tell you.
You have to mention Pete's Fish and Chips.
Yeah. Well, let's go back a little bit. Remember the tamale shop? Tolleson tamale shop?
These guys probably don't remember.
Oh,
I remember Saguaro's.
Okay, if you remember Saguaro's, then yeah. Okay, what street was that on?
Pierce?
My nana lived on that street.
Yeah.
Oh.
So she lived right across from Saguaro.
Yeah. Oh my God, we gotta.
And then the Camachos lived a few doors down. I don't know if you know that.
The Camachos. Oh my God.
Yeah, the Camachos.
Yeah.
Oh, so your nana were
my mother. Yeah, my mother and her brother. They're all from Tolleson.
Yeah.
And then on my mom's side, my great grandma had like 21 kids, I believe, and 15 survived.
Woo!
They all lived where you were talking about, where my great Theo Dickie Moreno.
Oh, Dickie Moreno.
And he had his family there, and he said people would, hang out over there.
Yeah.
He would take his guitar everywhere in the bars or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah.
That's the one Steve Alvarez has his car.
Right.
And he passed on.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many kids? You said 17 kids?
My great grandma had 21 kids, but I think my understanding is 15 lived. But she had 21 births.
Yeah. Well, see, that was before the internet.
Oh, yeah.
That was a source of entertainment of the day. Yeah. Wow.
So the instrument you picked up was the organ, and I understand you started a band at 11 years old. In between the ages of 6 and 11, did you learn other instruments? Did you sing? What other things did you learn?
No, I remember in 4th or 5th grade, man, I went. 4th grade was Unit 1, which doesn't exist anymore, and that's what street is that? Monroe.
Started on Monroe.
Very close to Pete's Fish and Chips, right? And it was a old school. So I was there for a year, but 4th grade through 8th grade was almost like junior high, and they had one of my first music teachers. His name was his last name was Earl, Mr. Earl, and I remember him, and he put me on drums. So I played a couple of tunes on drums, and it was like, all right, this is cool. Well, piano is a percussion instrument as it is, and that ended up being really important because then I understood the dynamics of drums, and this actually shaped the way I wrote music, because I was coming from a percussion type of background. Even if I played maybe one song in my life or two, it was the same dun, 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 daga, 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 dun. Dun, dun, that's all I ever played. But that was enough, right? I never gravitated toward, if you give me a guitar right now, I can play La Bamba. But that's all about it, and I won't play it very good.
So it's mainly keyboard.
Yeah. I even tried to steel guitar one time, right? Well, with a friend of mine, John Swan, and he says, he took it back. He says, you sound like you're killing a cat. So with all that, I knew enough about the instruments to write for them, And then as I started kind of climbing the ladder, then the musicianship started getting heavier and heavier, and I thought, I'll leave that to the pros,
Gotcha. So your first teacher in music class was who?
I would say Mr. Earl.
And that's in junior high?
That was in junior high. But what had happened is that, I started playing by ear all my life, which was actually, I was very fortunate to do that, to come from that. But by the time I was 14, then I started hanging out with Mighty Mouse. I call him Mighty Mouse. Frank Favela and Rudy, right? And they turned me on to Chick Corea, to Herbie Hancock, to Ira Quere from Cuba, from the 70s, man. And these guys were really progressive, man. And I dug it. So then I started looking for the musicians in the Valley that were playing that kind of music. So they turned me on to the Benavides brothers. I think the first time that I seen Ralph Chavarria, Ricky Benavides, David Benavides, and Jimmy Benavides, which actually Jimmy became part of our group Suerte for a little while, right?
Yeah, for a couple of years.
Yeah, so they would have these jam sessions at David's house. He was living, I think, in South Phoenix somewhere, man. I can't recall. But they were playing songs like Senor Mouse, and this is the first time I seen Ralph Chavarria play, and it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, this guy's so good.
How old were you at that time?
I was probably 16, 17. I think
Wow.
I was still in high school. Yeah. And a couple of years before that, though, that's when I had decided to, I said, well, I had that talk with my mom and dad when I was 14. I said, I want to be a keyboard player. I don't want to do anything else, and they were always supportive, They never, all they would do is just encourage, they never said anything negative about it, regardless of what they experienced, during our crazy days, all the parties that came through. I remember being, and that's another story. The first band, but I'll get to that. By the time I was 14, I made the decision to learn how to read, because music is a language, right? And to those musicians out there that are afraid of reading or anything, just it's nothing that you haven't heard already. It's just connecting the dots. Okay, what am I hearing, and what's it look like on paper? How can I recognize it, or how can I write it down? That's the way it was back in the day, and now with technology, it's a little different.
It
story.
writes it for you now, right?
Well, yeah. Now you can just delegate the shit. It's like you go to Fiverr and you have anything done.
Right. So the music teacher that you had, did you learn anything from him that you use to this day?
Just the parts of drums and kind of tuning, But my main sources were the private teachers. We have Raul Castañeda that owned a music store for the longest time. I think he had one here in Tolleson for a bit.
Yeah.
And that was my first piano lesson.
Hey,
right?
He was my dad. He's also family. He was my dad's cousin. He was a musician that played, locally for a long, long time. But I think he was a music teacher for one of the school districts. But he had his own music store there in Tolleson. Yeah. So we get all our stuff.
I had no idea they had a music store in Tolleson.
Oh, for years.
Yeah. What's that? Auto body
it's
shop
right across the street from
the high school.
Yeah, on the north side of the high school on the strip.
Yeah,
but he was there for years. It's
right.
Castañeda's music.
Right.
So, during high school, were you in music classes, or is that when you were taking private lessons?
Well, yeah, I was into sports. I was a bit of a jock, because of my brother, man. He was a football player.
Okay.
He was number 30, so he was like, I looked up to him, so I was like, holy shit, I want to be number 32, But the thing about football is that by the time I was a junior, everybody started outgrowing me, man, and I was playing guard at one point. That's how small Tolleson was, I was playing guard, linebacker, I think cornerback and the only time I was a halfback, I remember doing one of these routes, man, and they were supposed to lateral the ball to me, right? And I felt bad about it because I fumbled it, right? Well, I didn't exactly fumble. The ball was about 3 feet over my head. And I had to chase it down, man. I got sacked lost about 14 yards. But getting back to the music thing, it was Mr. Castañeda had turned me on to a teacher, my first teacher. And then from her, she introduced me to Armin Boltman. And Armin, I studied with him for about 3 or 4 years. He was a cat from Seattle, Washington. Old cat, just bearded and cool as hell, man. So as soon as I got my license at 16, man, I was already driving from Tolleson to Scottsdale. That's how dedicated I was, man, on a weekly basis.
So what band did you form at 11?
Okay, I was approached by George Hernandez. I think they were already freshmen. George Hernandez, Roy Zuniga, and Danny Lopez. Okay, now Danny Lopez, his father and our father was they were friends, right? And he used to sing in the church, I think, right? And he knew a little bit about music, and he was actually really important to us too, because they found out that I had that I played, and that at the house when we had just moved, the garage that was supposed to be a club that my dad wanted to open up for the longest time became our music, right? So one day these kids, I was playing basketball, 6th grade, and this was during recess, right? So they came, they were waiting for me. I was playing, says, Joey, come here, right? And I was like, hey, these kids, man, I knew they were from high school. And they said, hey, you play organ, right? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. Well, we have a band, man. You want to join our band? I said, yeah. Right? I didn't know. They said, well, you got a music room, right? I said, yeah. I said, can we rehearse at your house today? I said, yeah. So I was playing with my friends, and it was almost like the sun was coming down, and when I got home, the house was full, and my parents were in a panic. They said, Joey, why didn't you say anything? Everybody just showed up, said, hey, we got a rehearsal today. Luckily, Danny's dad was there, right? Do you remember when that happened?
No, I wasn't.
Were you around?
Yeah. Not maybe a little bit later in the day, but not at that time.
Were you there, Dave?
Not there.
Yeah. So they showed up, and my dad was kind enough to let them set up, right? And so we started playing, of course, Angel Baby, Sabor a Mi, and I mean these kids were good already. Danny, being from a musical family, he's a cat that can play guitar, bass, drums, trumpet, right? So my dad's sitting there just watching everything, and I saw him just kind of light up. And to make a long story longer, he ended up becoming the manager within weeks, right? And then Art came in, and who would have thought, man? He says, shit, started singing, man. And shortly thereafter, probably within about 6 months to a year, then Art became the singer.
And what was the name of the band?
Well, that one was
Los Nuevos.
It was even before that. The kids were called.
Yeah.
Faith Interlude.
Yeah, something like that.
The Faith Interlude, and then we started going through staff changes. Right, started morphing into something else, and then the first band was Los Nuevos, the News. Yeah.
Los Huevos.
Yeah, we got a lot of ridiculed, yeah. But then Mom and the Tia started getting involved in it, so we had uniforms and the whole 9 yards, Shit, we were making pretty good money at that time, too.
As a teenager.
As a teenager, man, and, sometimes it was just as much money as people are making now. That's a sad part about it, man. But my dad was smart enough to get weddings, he's that was pretty good at networking, He had a lot of movidas. Yeah.
How many years apart are you guys?
6.
We're 6 years apart, and David and I are 6 years apart. 5 years apart, yeah.
So Art, how did you like playing and singing with the band?
Yeah, I was already out of high school when I walked in one day, and Joey had this band here, and they were singing some song, and it was like, whoa. So I walked in there and said, what are you guys doing? And I said,
whoa good or whoa bad?
What do you think if I went in there?
Well, when you hear him say, give me that mic.
To try this and stuff, and I think they were getting ready for a church gig and stuff, and I don't remember what song it was, so I helped them do it. They were going to do it there at the Catholic church, and then they had asked me, well, do you want to do it? But it was a bunch of kids, and I said, I'm not going to do it, man. I'm 18 years old, all peludote here, man, with a bunch of,
Jermaine Jackson.
But later on, it worked out, and as we started getting better musicians, or thinning it out and getting where we wanted to get to. But
so you were playing sax, and you discovered you had vocal talents.
Yeah, I always thought I had vocal talents in the shower, but had never really tried to. You get together with a familia and you sing all the old songs, with your Dios and stuff, Little Joe and Rudy and the Reno Bobs and all, so that was the first time I actually tried it with a mic and stuff. And as it went along, it just got better and better, so. And when we were playing, I was playing saxophones and stuff. But
Nice. Joey, how did you know inside that made you believe that you were going to be a musician your entire life?
I never felt like I had a choice. It got to the point where I became that good where it just kind of got me, because I saw how people were affected by it. I knew I had a gift. I knew that I wasn't just going to be a piano player, because I started coming up with melodies, and I just loved the process even back then. I've always wanted to get into recording. I think my first session was I was like 16 or 17 with a guy named Clark Rigsby here, and I still worked with Clark Rigsby to this day. But he was the first one that brought me in, and the smell of the tape, the studio environment, man, that's what got me and really inspired me to get as good as I could.
Those were the analog days,
yeah,
right?
I was going to say, that's when it was just say tape. Analog.
Right, yeah.
What was your first pro keyboard that you ever got to use?
The pro keyboard was probably that Gem, the Gem organ, because it sounded like a Farfisa, right? And it had just a couple of settings on this side with the volume, but we ran it through an Ames amp that we bought at Arizona Music Center from Diana Lee's parents.
Diana Lee's parents owned that center?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and they were the nicest people. They were helping everybody out, But I had this gigantic guitar amp, Ames. Well, I think Diana's father had part of that. Of the company that made those amps, but it it was loud. It was cool. So then Pops was always supportive. Okay, what do we need? You know, because everything was still organ based, right? I didn't start playing piano until about the same time I started making it wasn't the switch, but it was just piano was becoming part of my arsenal. So I think they bought me a piano for, I don't know if it was a birthday or something. It was just an essential thing. So it was an upright piano. So I had the piano, I had the organ. And, you know, as I said, my dad was connected, you know. So there was a Morados. Remember remember Connie Morado and Arvado Morado? They have a body shop. You have Adams on the next street, which is
Washington.
Yeah, still there.
Jefferson, right?
Jefferson.
Yeah. So Arvado used to dabble in keys. I mean, he was a pro keyboard player, but he had this Yamaha. It was called the YC25, I think. It was a double manual, right? And it was like a Yamaha's version of a B3 at the time, you know, because they had some of the they didn't have drawbars, but they had like switches, like the 16-foot and the 8-foot and all that. But it was the first time that it was being run through a Leslie, you know. So once you hear a Leslie and you work with a Leslie, I mean, there's nothing like it, man. It's like, you know, if you're playing organ and you have control of that Leslie, then you play different. That Leslie, that combination makes you play different. You dig in. It's a whole different.
The big box speaker.
The box with the
horn
and the
twirly.
Yeah.
I hated that keyboard. Sometimes, you know, we were playing Friday nights, and then we'd have a couple of gigs on Saturday, a day gig and then a night gig. Then on Sunday, maybe 1 or 2 gigs, and to load and upload that monster.
Yep.
Yeah, the Widowmaker, man. That story.
Everybody's gone when it comes to loading up.
Yeah. Well, those B3, I never had a B3, but yeah, that Leslie was 150 pounds easily.
Wow.
100, almost 200 pounds. I remember one time we're going to a gig, and this was there's different types of Leslie. You got the ones that are cabinets, and these other ones that are on they have casters, right? And we were in the old truck taking the gear somewhere, man, and somebody hit the gas too hard, and we heard a crash, and I saw my Leslie on Van Buren, boom, looking up like this. Like, I was like, oh no! So we loaded it back up, took it to the house, plugged it in, and it was all right.
Oh, thank God.
It was a tank, man.
Yeah.
So eventually graduated from what high school?
Tolleson Union High School, and I'm an official Wolverine.
All right.
Yeah.
So is my mother.
Yeah.
What happened to your band after high school?
We continued playing, you know. So regardless of the musicians that came in, Danny Lopez was with us for quite a while, you know. And then when Jimmy Benavides came in, then we started meeting some of the musicians that were involved in some of the bands that we grew up listening to. As we were talking about before, Fat City. There was they were really popular in the 70s, and we should mention some of the players, man, which was Bobby Soul on sax, Rudy Carrubias, Turi. I'm sorry, Turi Carrubias on drums. You know, he's
Covarrubias.
Yeah.
Marty Ramirez.
Ramirez on guitar. Phil Luna, you know, so
Joe Betancourt.
Yeah, and I remember Art coming back home and saying, God damn, this band is kicking ass, man. And this was Earth, Wind, and Fire. They were, what kind of tunes were they doing?
A lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire, a lot of R&Bs.
A lot of funk.
Yeah.
And then they had that trombone player, I don't remember his name, but you had Bobby Soul sometimes would double up. He'd play tenor sax and alto sax at the same time, you know, on each hand.
Yeah.
I saw
Whoa,
that.
I have never seen that.
And then Marty not only played guitar, but he would play sax too. So sometimes between 3 of them, they'd have a 4-piece horn section there.
Wow. All right.
Well, it was wild, man. It was very impressive, man. That's when I was in, man, we got a long ways to go, man, but that's what inspired me, also, man, let's make a push, man. The guys were awesome, man.
We listened to the song earlier called Anaconda. When did that come out?
We became Suerte like when I was like 17, 18 years old, and we played at Dugo's, right?
On 19th Avenue?
Yeah, on 19th Avenue. Actually, we opened up the place. And
we were the very first band to open that place up, man.
So I think Art met Ted Verdugo and the brothers.
Well, at that time, we were actually had the house gig at Los Olivos at Scottsdale.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we had the Friday and Saturday, every Friday and Saturday for a few months and stuff, and then those guys came in to check us out, and then they said they were opening up this club, but they needed music every night, so it was like, well, why not, man? And it's closer to Tolleson.
Right, exactly. Straight shut down on Van Buren.
Oh, man, and we had a blast. Holy moly. This was in the days of Saturday Night Fever. The whole thing was happening, man. So it was. So
that was what, like the late 70s?
Yeah. It was
No, it had to be the early 80s because I was already. I graduated in 1980. I was still in high school.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was playing there illegally.
But like when we opened up there, that first few weeks, man, we had lines. They couldn't get in, people waiting to get in, circling the building down the sidewalk and stuff. We were packing that place up. We had, how many horns did we have? Me, Danny.
And Raul. That was 3-piece horn section, right?
So there were like 9 of us up there.
Wow.
I think, total, but it was, had some good musicians.
Sure, it sounded sweet.
Oh, man. We made some lifelong friends there, man. There was a bouncer named Mouse. And I don't know why, he always used to call me Horshack. Hey, Horshack, what's happening, man? Hey, Horshack, hey, it's time for you guys to play Horshack. Right. So here we are 50 years later, man. I get in my private, in my messenger in Facebook, right? How you doing, Horshack, man?
That's funny.
He
still calls you that to this day.
Yeah, man.
So when did the song Anaconda come out?
Yeah, I started writing after in that same time period. I'm sorry for digressing there, man. But I started playing with Linda and Carmela, which was a whole other thing. They had a group called Linda, Carmela, and Phases, right? So all her musicians were into jazz, and through Linda and Carmela, I met a lot of other musicians, and I played with another guy named Ruben Macias, right? With Ruben Macias, a guitar player, had a group. It might have been Straight from the Heart at the time. Now there's a sax player named Tony Melleby in there, right? And he was originally from Tucson. So, and he grew up with Renee, but Tony was one of these guys where he was so advanced. The guy was so advanced beyond years, man. He was already an old soul, right? He was playing like in the Michael Brecker realm at 17, 18 years old. And he just, so I invited him to play on this tune. And we recorded this at Vintage Studio off of 16th Street in Camelback, right? So, in this umbrella, and now we're talking about the Joey Navarro project, where I started playing at Chewy's. We had Robert Scott on drums, Tony Contreras on bass, and actually Rudy and Frankie also recorded with me. Rudy's on this tune. Keith Johnson, was just passed away recently on percussion, but Tony Melleby came in, and if when you check out this tune, really check out what he's playing, because this was him, maybe 1 or 2 takes, just reading it down, and he was just blowing, man.
Yeah, I like the way you came in with that organ, and it sounded has like a reggae feel on it when you first started.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, cool.
And then it goes back into the main groove and all that stuff. But
right.
That song was made through the Joey Navarro project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was done in the mid '80s, maybe 5 years after you graduated from high school.
Maybe so, because we used to play that tune at Chewy's. Now Chewy's, we used to play there Monday nights. We would follow the big band from Mesa
Community College Big Band or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot the maestro's name, man, but he had So Nancy Jackson had given us that opportunity.
We're gonna play another song called "On the Rocks," and I understand you were signed with Island Records for this particular album, right?
Yeah.
Or was it for this song?
Well, it ended up being the title track. I wrote the song after we started negotiating with Island. It just happened to I chose it to become the title track. You know, this one also features Tony Melleby on sax, right? And man, this tune, I mean, everybody's burning on it, man. Robert Scott's got a wonderful drum solo on it. Tony Contreras. Now, these musicians, man, they are really special. We had a really special thing happening that my biggest regret was not being able to have that really take off, because anybody that hears this album and especially bass players, man, they love the way Tony plays, because he was very progressive at the time. Nobody could thump like him, man. You know, even Rene Camacho, which is my bass player now, he had bought this album when it came out, and we're kind of revisiting the tunes, but man, it gives a lot of kudos to Tony and Robert. So
It was ahead of his time, huh?
Yeah.
Right on. Well, we're going to play On the Rocks, and we hope the audience enjoys it. That's an uplifting jazz song with some awesome piano work.
Thank you.
So when did you get the deal with Island Records? What year was that?
It came through another deal. So like in 1984 or 85, I had just finished working with Cliff Sardi. And we had gone to L.A. to record at Larry B's studio. And it was with Robert Scott, Junior Coda, a few of us, man. So at the time I started talking, Art and I were talking about, we were playing at Chewy's, and we wanted to start documenting the music, right? And then the question came about. It's like, how do you get a record deal? What do we have to do? Who do we talk to, right? So we had talked to. I was also working with Chewy Castro, and Chewy at the time he'd spend half his time here and half his time in L.A., right? Chewy actually introduced us to Hadley Morel. He first Chewy heard the tape. He goes, "Man, this is pretty good, man." He says, "I got this guy that I'm working with. He's got his own independent label, HDM Records. So can you, So he set up a meeting, and I'm not sure if Art had gone with me on the initial meeting, So we met with Hadley.
Of course, I was.
The very first one where we went to the Taft building in his office. Yeah. So we had gone there and so Chewy, man, he did really well for himself, man. He was working with HDM. I think he was a bouncer at the comedy club at the time. And he just got that ball rolling because we got our first deal with Hadley Morel, HDM Records. So that's when we released that After School.
Through HDM Records.
Yeah. So we had already completed the album. Working with Cliff Sardi, I met Randy Buzzelli and Steve Escalier. Steve Escalier was, they were both working out of Pantheon Studio in Tempe. And I didn't know a lot about the recording process, so they produced After School. So we went to we found a studio through Adeverto. Man, all these dots, man. Adeverto Gallegos, I think, told us about the studio called Gravity Studio in Nogales. So we went to record the album. I think it was during a week. Was it a week?
Yeah, we did it in 5 days.
Yeah, recorded. Recorded and mixed a tune, about 6 or 7 tunes in about 5 days. Cut everything live. We were really prepared because we would rehearse. We rehearsed a whole year for one of our shows at Chewy's. Every week and every Sunday. We were tight, man. That between Robert Scott and I and Tony Contreras, that was a really, really good section. So that's how that came to be.
And so are you still with Island Records, or how long did that last?
Well, when we signed the deal, we went back to L.A. to finish the artwork. There was a couple of more songs that we cut at Vintage. I think it was On the Rocks. Anaconda, we had just done some overdubs there. We did a couple of other tunes, and then we had Bernie Grunman actually did the master. So it was just all these processes that we were learning, But with Island, we had the budget to do it up,
Right on.
Yeah. So you want to hear the story about the first initial meeting?
Sure.
All right. Cool. So the three of us had gone. We were invited back to Hollywood to meet with Lou Malia, right? And this was after we had a showcase here where Jean-Pierre Weiler, that was with Island Records, came from New York to see us at Chewy's. So we played Chewy's, and then this record deal materialized. So after signing, they invited us to some restaurant. I forgot it was an outdoor cafe. My brothers get there. And it was Lou Malia, Forrest Hamilton, the guys that were involved in the record deal. And they were like, "Hey, man, we're going to make a lot of money together." And Lou was, he was the head of Island at that time. There was Chris Blackwell, which was the founder, then Lou Malia. So it was, I think Hadley was there also, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we were sitting there, and Lou just comes up to me and was like, "Man, you guys are great, man. You know, we've got a management company ready for you, and we're gonna make a lot of money." He said, "Man, just for you guys to know, we just signed artists. I think everybody's gonna know about them. We're putting a lot of money behind them, man. They're called a U2, right?" It's like, "Oh, great." I didn't think anything of it. I said, "Yeah, man, these guys, you're gonna hear big things from them, right?" Well, the album came out, and we started seeing some results of airplay in Germany and a few spots, man. But the tour never materialized. It just never materialized. So what had happened is that within that time, they got rid of the jazz department and or other jazz artists, right? And they sunk in a lot of money. They just put a lot of effort into U2. So a lot of us got kind of pushed aside there. Well, we got signed the same week that U2 got signed.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you to start making your own music and becoming a composer or producer?
I was inspired by the people that I play with. I've always been a sponge. When I hear something or a groove the way like a guy like Tony Contreras would play, it's really easy to write. I've always been the type of guy, I've got chops. I can play. I was really good classical player at one point in my life, but I've always been a band guy. I've always written for other. I don't hear just piano. I've written melodies where I'll have a sax player play it or a guitar player or something. But that's always piqued my interest more than anything. Is the entire sound scope, not just piano or organ or.
Who I know you named some people that inspired you. Who are some of your other musical heroes or influences as you started exploring music?
One cat that I give a lot of credit to would be Ernie Chavarria. I saw him play at a music store once. I think it was Symphony Music, where everybody used to get their keyboards. Remember that? He was sitting there and he was kicking left-hand bass. He was playing some cool shit with the right hand and singing on top of that. In other words, the brain is divided into 3 different sections there, and it was incredible, and he did it really well, man. And I've always been a fan of Ralph Chavarria because Ralph Chavarria was this side of like Keith Jarrett, Chick Corea. They were so different in their techniques between Ernie and Ralph, right? But they had the same teacher. So at this point, I was 1996. I was producing another guy named John Swan, and I actually moved out of Arizona the first time in '96. He says to me, "Joey, I got good news and bad news." He says, "The bad news, I'm moving from Arizona. I'm moving to Ventura." I said, "Well, what about the recording project?" He says, "Well, that's a good news. You're moving with me." So that was the first time that I left Arizona, and it was it was kind of traumatic, but. Then that kind of fizzled out after about a year, and I had a choice to make. Either go to L.A. and take my chances then, or come back. I really wanted to study with Ernie. When I saw him, I just, so I decided to move back to Arizona, study with Ernie for 4 years.
What year was that?
I want to say 95 through 2000. Maybe 96 to 2001.
That's a long time. So how was it like a weekly thing? Or I
would go every week, man. I didn't miss 1 week. He's the one that told me, he says, "Man, if you're going to move to L.A., you're going to meet a lot of white sharks. You got to become a white shark." So everything that I learned from him was the discipline, because I think my brothers can attest to it, man. I think I was still living in Tolleson, where I would practice hours, at least 2 hours a day. And I give my brothers all the credit for not buying earplugs or anything else, and just let me do what I needed to do. But man, I hear cassette tapes now. I just ran into a tape where I didn't recognize myself. My chops were so high that I was playing some beautiful Chopin, Beethoven, some Clementi stuff that was just burning, right? So like Ernie would say, he says, "Mijo," I got so many quotes that I use on my students. He would say, "If you don't use your left hand, you might as well chop that off. Chop off your left hand if you're not going to use it, right?" So because your left hand has to be 85%, if you're right-handed, as good as your right hand, So the exercises, everything that I learned from Ernie, I'm teaching now at a collegiate level.
Was Ernie a piano organist as well?
Yeah, he was one of these multi-keyboardist type of guys. He played with James Brown. He played with a lot of cats. He might have done a couple of gigs here or there, but the proof was in the pudding, and it was his discipline, man.
And he's from here?
Originally, yeah. His father is Chapito Chavarria.
The famous Chapito.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So that's how that came, So there's lineages of fathers and sons, how the torch is passed down. Another example of that is Joey DeFrancesco, one of the world's best organists, man, that passed away a couple of years ago, man. But his father was an organist, and I think his grandfather was an organist too. And you see a guy like Joey DeFrancesco, you can't understand how a person can get that good. Well, they're kind of like born into it. It's like their brains are wired differently.
You could have chosen to play different genres of music, but you chose to play jazz with your own fusion of funk, Latin, reggae, and other styles of music. What made you decide to choose that direction and creating your own songs versus playing cover songs?
At the time, I was really inspired by the music that I was doing with Linda and Carmela. And actually, Carmela gave me, when I was playing in her band, that's when all this thing with Island and Hadley Morel and Chewy, when all this was happening, she gave us the first shot to do a showcase at Churchill's Pub that was located on 44th Street and what? Thomas, right? And she was playing up there on a weekly basis for a long time, so she helped set that up. But and at that time they were doing Weather Report, man. They were doing these badass tunes, man. Tanya Maria, something that was not in the realm of top 40 music. I mean, I don't knock popular music because that's my roots. I mean, you listen to Earth, Wind and Fire, and especially the old stuff.
You're influenced by them.
Yeah, well, they were jazz musicians. They were all jazz musicians playing pop. A lot of people might not know that, but a lot of the funk that's coming out of Parliament, all those guys were, they influenced by jazz.
Wow, didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I did a little bit of research. Yeah.
So, you're growing up out of high school, trying to make it. You had challenges that you had to face as you pursued your career. How did you overcome some of that?
A huevo? Just take the lumps. My ego has cost me a lot of time. Once I think you go through shit that you just don't want to admit. You start making excuses for things, man. But once you start taking responsibility and you own it, then you can make a change. You can make every excuse in the world, man. But I'm heavy into manifestation. I think there's no mistakes. Everything always happens for a reason, man. And the older I get, the more I believe in that.
Right on. What's the best piece of advice another musician has given you that you use to this day?
Well,
there might be many.
That's generational, right? There's a couple. One of the first pieces I went to go see Jeff Lorber, right? Jeff Lorber, he had an album called Wizard Island, back in the 80s. And that actually, man, if you hear my music, I was really inspired by Jeff Lorber. And out of that Jeff Lorber band came a guy named Kenny Gorlick, which was one of the most burning sax players, right? Later on became Kenny G, right? He's he's one of the most underrated sax players because he chose to go commercial, right? But man, when we saw him with Jeff Lorber, and it was badass. Jeff Lorber was surrounded by keyboards. They played, what was that club called, man? It was in Tempe.
I can't recall, but I don't know.
No, it wasn't McKenna. It was a concert venue, man. Patrice Rushen was there. We opened up for Najee.
Yeah.
After the Gold Rush, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so Jeff Lorber at the time, he had the 80s haircut, the painter's pants and all. I think he was the coolest guy. So I went up to him, I said, man, I'm a keyboard player too. You have any advice for a guy like me coming up? He goes, yeah, practice. That was it. That's it. And he walked away.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it, man.
We have another song coming up called Paraiba. Can you tell us about that song?
Well, see, all these songs do have a story, man. So in 2001, I made the decision to relocate, and Johnny Sandoval and I moved finally to LA. It was a lifelong dream.
What year?
2001. Right, so I was playing with Connie Cole at the time, with El Ortiz in the band, and that was probably the best gig in town. And through Connie, I met a lot of great musicians, including Lenny Castro, and a few other musicians that are still friends to this day. So Rene Camacho is a bass player from Tucson. He's been living in LA since like 1994. He moved before us, and I had already recorded with Rene with Alberto Gallegos from Tucson, right? And so I got the gig with Sister Sledge, a bunch of us. I think it was, I forgot who was on drums, man, but it was Rene at the time. And Johnny Sandoval was playing percussion. So he said, man, you should move to L.A., man. He says, your chops are there. There's no reason, because I was a little frustrated. I felt like what else could I do here? We'd already gotten signed here because the casinos were coming in, and then that was kind of like all the work that I saw, and I just needed to find out how good I was. Like, it was like, could I hang in LA? Could I hang in New York? So I've always been competitive about the music. So Rene says, man, we got a spot that just opened up right above us in his apartment complex. He says, I've got a really good relationship with the landlord there. So we made a call, and she says, I don't know, you guys are coming in from Arizona. I said, well, we've known Rene for a long time, please just, well, the rent is this. Can you come up with a deposit? We came up with a deposit. I said, well, if you ask me nicely. So Johnny Sandoval and I are like, please. So we got the lease, man. So for 5 years when we moved there, okay, bear in mind, man, I made this move when I was 38 years old. I wasn't a spring chicken anymore, So it was, I felt like it was either now's the time or else it's not going to happen. But to live there, we moved to North Hollywood, and it was Rene Camacho and another bass player, J.V. Collier, that plays with Bruce Hornsby to this day. Everybody in the apartment complex were involved in music. Yari More, which is a singer, was down there. He had an apartment there. This guy Mofongo, Steve, I forgot his last name, but he's in a salsa band. So all these musicians lived there. The thing, especially at that time, about North Hollywood, it was just, you can go to any club and just check out these fantastic musicians. Another person that inspired me was Joey Heredia, and I wanted to hang with him. He's a world famous drummer, right? So, and he had a trio with Renato Neto. God, I feel like I'm name dropping like crazy here, man.
Drop. Yeah. Give them respect.
Yeah, but Renato ended up being the keyboard player for Prince, right? So I just wanted to get involved in that whole scene. So Joey had asked me if I had any Latin tunes or any kind of Latin-based tunes. I said, no, but I can write some. So I got the opportunity to play it at La Valie. This was one of the tunes that I wrote. This one features Joey Heredia on drums. I think it's Lenny Castro on percussion. And Brandon Fields on sax and I think flute. And also a Michael Angel Alvarado that plays with the E Family. It's a burning tune.
Was there a Rene Camacho?
Oh, of course, Rene. Rene on bass. Rene's played on everything I've recorded. We probably have at least 100 tunes that we recorded together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Must be a great bass player.
He is, man.
Well, we're going to play Paraiba. I hope the audience enjoys it.
Cool.
Wow. This takes you on a musical journey. A lot of changes in that song.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Thank you.
We've got another song called I Ride. Can you tell us about that before we play it?
Yeah. Actually, I Ride, it was a melody that came to me when I was doing the commute between Los Angeles and Phoenix, because when we moved to Phoenix, 9/11 happened, right? I mean, when we moved from Phoenix, I should rephrase that. I'm sorry. I was there literally maybe 3 weeks, right? And I just, I think I'd gotten the gig with Jennifer Page, got through the drummer Joey Heredia, and she was getting ready to tour. Then 9/11 happened, tour got canceled, all the work seemed to have gone away. A lot of the touring stuff, it just went away. Everything went away. It was a critical time because Johnny and I were just starting to meet people. We were trying to get as much work as we could, but the entire process was prolonged by 9/11. So I ended up commuting back and forth from Phoenix to LA. Phoenix 3 days, LA 4 days, right? Because I was still playing with Connie Cole, and we did that. Both Johnny and I did that because I was like, shit, we're living in two cities. Everything's it's cool. So this melody came to me, and I messed with the words. So this is my tip of the hat to anybody that has to commute for a living, anybody that drives, right? Anybody that delivers packages, and anything that keeps everything going for us, right? On this particular track, Joey Heredia is on drums. He cut Pariba and I Ride the same day. Lenny Castro is also there. Of course, Rene Camacho on bass. Fausto Cuevas is on timbal and bongo, and he's the current percussionist for Stevie Wonder. He's another Chicano from Bronzeville, super talented, man, but he's had some great gigs. He was just on the Jimmy Kimmel show with Sheila E. Who else is on this? This is I Ride. So, of course, Brandon Fields, Jeff Lewis from Tierra, and a few other cats. Now, I've got two versions of this. What you're going to hear, I think, was it my version or?
This version's from the audio track.
Yeah.
Because I think you have a video track.
Yeah. Well, I might have sent you two because Andy Vargas and I had Andy sing a version of this also. We'll find out once you play it. But Andy, actually, we're planning to release it in the summer. Andy Vargas being the singer for Santana, another really cool cat. And he heard the track and he wanted a go at it. I said, shit, yeah.
Why not?
Right.
Right on. Well, we're going to play I Ride, and I hope the audience enjoys it as much as we do.
Here's to all working hard to keep it together. Every mile, every day. Rolling down that highway, not too sure where I'm gonna stay. All I know is I've got some bills to pay. Once again through the I-10 highway, I ride. Who the hell said I'm done paying my dues every day? I work so hard for this life I choose. The cost of health insurance is way up high. Once again through the I-10 highway, I ride. This is how it's done. I begin to daydream of things I'm about to achieve. Concepts all conceived. Retrospection tells me to follow my heart faithfully. 'cause I'm feeling strong. Driving down the road through the early break of dawn. I managed to survive for so long. I don't want to be suffering. I'm almost buenos. Through that I ride. Driving down the road, early break of dawn. Ahí vamos, buenos.
That's a funky Latin song with some funky bass and piano chops.
Thank you. That was a funky hit.
Did you figure out who was singing on this one?
Oh, that was me.
Is that you really singing?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, good.
No
All
need
right.
to apologize.
No need. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So how would you describe, I don't want to put you in a box or anything, but how would you describe your own musical genre?
I think the title at this point kind of says it all, man. It's Latin funk more than anything, you know. I mean, if you want to say Latin jazz funk, you know, but you got Latin jazz. I don't know. I've always felt that I got my own thing going on, you know. As I go through life, man, I start meeting the people, you know, my peers. I start, I know dozens and dozens of talented piano players, man, that I love, right? But at the end of the day, when I listen to their music, I got total appreciation for it. I'll listen to my tracks and I say, yeah, you know, I've got something. I think they'll dig what I'm doing. A lot of times, like my students, I'll ask them, or the question comes up like, who's your favorite artist? Who's your favorite artist? Right? And when it comes to me, I always say, well, I'm first. But I also like blah blah blah, you know, and they get a aha moments like, okay, it's all right to like yourself, man.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I think he's creating a brand new genre because it's got jazz in it. Well, it's some jazz, and you have the Latin feel for it. It's not truly all Latin, and there's a lot of funky stuff going on there. And if you look at the different genres, it's either jazz or R&Bs or pop, whatever. But as we try to classify it, I don't see a classification for it. They ask you, like, when you release it, what type of genre is it? And then we're marking off 2 or 3 different genres. And I think he's developing one where it's going to be really Latin, funk, jazz. It incorporates all of them. And it's not strictly one. And as you listen to the music, you'll see it's all blended together with all these different feels and different directions on it. So I'm hoping that he's creating a whole new one that it's recognizes.
Right. Joey, how would you describe your creative process when you're writing music?
There's not a set way of doing it. When you're doing it for yourself, it's a lot of times, man. It might come from pieces that you might have recorded 5-10 years before. You know, that certainly comes up and arises. I can't describe it as just a feeling. You know, I know there's artists out there that they have to be in the mood to create or something and everything, man. But for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen? All right, then you start playing with the track. Sometimes the melodies will come, or for me, a lot of times certain rhythms will come, and I just let the fingers fall, you know, and wherever they fall, sometimes it's going to take its own shape. Songs have a tendency to write themselves.
So sit there, put your fingers on the keys, and let whatever you feel come out, right? Don't be scared.
Yeah. At this point, man, I've got so much experience, so many hours doing this, that usually it's going to be the first idea that comes out that's probably the best. You know, then from there you start polishing.
Right. Do you ever get creative writing blocks?
No, not really. I really trust my intuition in regards to music. Case in point, man, working with Ursi Arvizu. That was a whole other thing. Okay, I might as well. I'll get into that story here. So we had been living in LA for about three years already. I actually met Ursi, and this is a great story, through my brother David, because David's the one that had the relationship with Martha, which is Ursi's significant other. Did you guys work together?
Yeah, Martha and I worked together for years.
Yeah, the Wells Fargo.
Yeah, and then had met Ursi that way, and somehow had made the connection between Ursi and Fred Sanchez, and that's when you were in LA already.
Yeah.
Buena Vista Social Club had already happened, so it was just weird. All these things were on a collision course.
Right.
So in 2001, you moved to LA.
Yeah.
And then in 2003, you created the Joey Navarro Latin Funk Band, right?
Right.
And that's who played Paraíba and I Ride.
Right.
Okay. And then sometime in 2007 is when you met Ursi Arvizu, who asked you to help her write an album that was produced by Ry Cooder, correct?
Yeah. So Ursi got the opportunity to work with Ry Cooder on one of his albums, where and it's called Chavez Ravine, where Ry, after this whole Buena Vista Social, he went in and he knew Little Willie G, and he had known of Ursi and El Chicano. He loved her voice from Sabor a Mi. And Ry, he works with this drummer, Jim Keltner, that worked with Traveling Wilsberries, man, and he recorded with Steely Dan, world-class drummer. So when he got the opportunity, he asked Ursi, well, he says, Ursi, I want to do an album on you. And Ursi's telling me, he says, Ry Cooder wants to produce this album on me. I said, that's fantastic. She goes, Joey, I need your help. I said, well, what do you need? She says, he wants to do an album of my life, because Ursi's got a wonderful history too on the boxing side, right? Her father was a trainer, right? And they used to have a gym in their backyard in East LA. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? You know, she had to come up with all this original music about her life. So she would come up to the apartment, and I had my studio in my bedroom at that time, right? So I had this king size bed, this big old closet that we used to use to cut vocals and percussion. It sounded great in there. It was one of the best sounding rooms. So anyway, so I sat Ursi down, and I said, well, let's talk about your life. You know, where did you grow up? She was doing an interview very similar to this, you know. So as she was talking, this was 2002, 2003, you know. I was on Pro Tools. And I started just kind of documenting, I wrote bullet points of her, of what she was saying. So she would come in 3 or 4 days later, and I would just work her words into a melody and work them into something that was very cool. So she had started with her sisters, her 3 sisters, at a very young age, and they were opening up for Sonny and Cher. They were opening up for Ike and Tina Turner for some of these shows, and they got signed to Delphi. I think it was the same record company that Richie Valens, Valley Richie. Richie Valens was on. So that's how it started. So during that process, it took about 2 or 3 months, and she calls. She says, "Hey, Ry wants to meet with you. He's liking what he's hearing." I said, "Ry Cooder?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Where?" I says, he wants to come over." So imagine this, man. I hear a knock on the door. I open the door, and there's Ry Cooder standing there, man. I was like, holy shit, this is cool, right? So he sat down, and he said, "Man, you guys are doing wonderful work." So he asked me about the process. I told him what I just told you. And then at the end of the session, before he took off, I said, "Man, Ry, I gotta tell you, man, I'm a big Buena Vista Social Club fan, and I had just seen who was the singer?
Ibrahim Ferrer.
Ibrahim Ferrer, Gamage, man. And I asked him about that. I said, "How did that come to be? You being a blues cat from L.A., from Santa Monica?" And he sat there, man, and told me the whole story, just like this, right? How it all came to be. And that I'm not going to give you the details because it's going to be another hour, man. But it was just a fantastic experience to sit there with him, and just to learn how that came to be, man. Because all that entire band, they all became world famous on their own, you know. Ibrahim, and this comes kind of full circle to Gustavo, because Barbarito Torres and everything, man. So and I was a big fan of Barbarito, let alone 20 years later to get the files of Barbarito playing on a song that Gustavo and I wrote. And that's what I'm saying, man. Manifestation is real, number one. Number two, things always happen for a reason, so it's but that's how it happened with Ursi.
Wow. Well, when I heard the song, I automatically said her dad must be a boxer.
Yeah.
Because she intertwines what she learned from watching her father and other boxers train as a metaphor in her song, it seems like.
Yeah.
As about her staying out of trouble, earning respect, and it's time to throw the blows and go to war to get you to your dreams.
Well,
that's the way I took it.
Yeah, so I had a kind of everything that she was talking about, even to the point where the windows of dreams, right? Those are the two little holes that she carved out so she can watch the boxers. That she was sitting on a little milk crate as a kid because she wasn't allowed in the gym. She wasn't allowed in the gym, and her father didn't even know that she was into boxing until. I don't know if she's even told this story until her father was getting his haircut in Tucson. And the barber says, "Hey, man, did you see your daughter on one of these boxing magazines?" That's how he found out.
So she actually boxed?
Yeah, she was undefeated until the father says no more, right? Yeah. I mean, she was badass.
Wow. It's a very interesting song. I'm going to play it right now, called The Windows of Dream, featuring Ursi Arvizu and arranged by Joey Navarro.
Made some holes in the wall, wondering what went on the other side. I sat there and watched the boys go by. They all shared the same dream, they all wanted a better life. Boxing was a ticket to riches and fame. My father was a trainer, one by one they came. I wasn't allowed in this man's world. The holes in the wall became my windows of dreams.
Taping of the hands, lacing the gloves, the bucket in the corner. I made my weight and my cut man's ready. I said my prayers and now it's time to go to war.
As a child, I couldn't resist looking through the holes from afar. I see the dedication and sacrifice. I would love to see them spar. As I grew up, I knew that I was ready for the world to see. I trained hard to gain respect. $1 million baby had nothing on me.
Wrapping the wraps, taping of the hands, lacing the gloves, the bucket in the corner. I made my weight and my cut man's ready. I said my prayers and now it's time to throw blows. Taping of the hands, lacing the gloves, the bucket in the corner. I made my weight and my cut man's ready. I said my prayers and now it's time to go to war.
Has come full circle. My father believed in me. The time was here to pass the torch, keep the fire burning for the windows of dream. Go to the body, then to the head. We bob and weave and break to the left. Always use your jab to get out of trouble. Never take a step back, always dominate.
Wrapping the wraps, taping of the hands, lacing the gloves, the bucket in the corner. I made my weight and my cut man's ready. I said my prayers and now it's time to throw blows. Taping of the hands, lacing the gloves, the bucket in the corner. I made my weight and my cut man's ready. I said my prayers and now it's time to go to war.
Carlos, whatever.
I got love for you.
Duty and more.
I got love for you.
Jaime Castillo.
I got love for you.
Fito and Leo.
I got love for you.
Yayi and Martin.
I got love for you.
Danny Valdez.
I got love for you.
Joe Harrell.
I got love for you.
Oscar de la
I got
Hoya.
love for you.
Joey de la
I got
Hoya.
love for you.
Leonard and
I got
Roger.
love for you.
Big Joe.
I got love for you.
Enrique
I got
Moreno.
love for you.
Cisco and
I
Eddie.
got love for you.
Manny
I got
Castillo.
love for you. Yo, where's CRB? I got love for you.
Nice. So I'm going to ask you, you play a lot of venues. What is your favorite venue to play at?
Yeah, that's easy. Baked potato.
And why is that?
Since Chewy's, man, is one of the clubs that I get to feature my own music. Number one. Number two, the sound in there's always been great. It's like playing in a studio, right? And number three, the access to the instant gratification for both the audience members and the musicians. Because as far as you're sitting from me, that's how far they're sitting from me. The stage is right there, man. It's like playing in somebody's living room.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you guys got direct contact. You can interact with the crowd, and
Yeah, and when you have that kind of a dynamic, man, then that's when the magic happens. The music, musicians will do things that, because there's a microscope on you. You just don't know what can happen, So musicians tend to take chances and create wonderful moments there.
Gotcha. Nice. Do you have any favorite performances that you recall instantly? Like, I love that performance I did.
With my group, there's many of them, and with other groups, and a lot of them are in that room, because I've played there with probably 10 different bands, right? One being Wilfredo Reyes Jr. He's a world-renowned drummer. He's touring with Chicago right now, right? So he saw me play with a group called Orale that, out in San Fernando Valley, in Pacoima, I think, at a club called Casa Torres, right? So I was always aware of Wally since he played with Santana back in the 90s, right? He was a young kid, and he had these amazing chops. He comes from another musical family, Wilfredo Reyes Sr., and he has a brother that's actually a touring percussionist too. So when he asked me to play with him, we played the Baked Potato a few times, So usually I'll be set up kind of facing the band, right? And the drummer will be right there, just to the right of me, right? And I'm sitting there watching this guy play, and I'm like, man, this guy's one of the world's best drummers. I've got the best seat in the house. I'm looking right at him, man. So I've had a lot of those type of moments. And then to see a guy like Rene Camacho taking a solo, it's crazy, man. That's one thing. Another thing is doing the big venues, man, like playing with El Chicano, and to know what that institute means to my peoples, and to play B3. It's like a full circle thing, man. To play at the Greek Theater, we played a lot of wonderful venues, man.
What group was formed first, Tierra or El Chicano?
I think El Chicano was. I'm extremely close with Fred Sanchez, man. He's been such a wonderful friend since I met him in the 90s, man. And just to know that entire history, it's been a trip. My mind is racing. What was the question?
Mine is too. What was the question?
Came first.
Who came first?
Who came first? There you go.
The chicken did. No, I think. Well, the way Fred describes it, man, is that they used to actually live either in the same street or in the same block. So El Chicano would be rehearsing, and then he would hear Steve Salas and Rudy as they were putting together their band. So there was one day, because everybody knew Fred at this time, and because they started having their successes. Fred's the one that discovered Bobby Espinosa. Fred's the one that discovered Mickey Lesperon. You know, they were playing with these other groups, so he hired him to play with the VIPs. And every now and again, Fred described it as going to their house saying, "Hey, man, you guys are making too much noise. We're trying to, we're trying to get some work done here, man."
So, do some of the members in Tierra and El Chicano play together?
They used to in the very start, man. So I would say they kind of came up together, and incidentally, man, Rudy and Steve were part of El Chicano, at least in the recording side of it, because there was Steve and Fred that sang what's the song? Brown-Eyed Girl. Yeah.
Do you ever get performance anxiety when you're ready to play a big show, and if you do, how do you deal with it?
I used to, and it's been very rare, but being as prepared as I've always been, it just doesn't happen, because now I think any musician's biggest fear would be, oh, am I going to make a mistake, right? Or I'm gonna do this on my solo, right? And it never ends up that way. You never, when you shoot for something, that's when you make a mistake.
And have you ever made a mistake?
I made one yesterday, man, at State Farm with Tierra Legacy, and the drummer looked at me. He goes, "Yeah, I heard that."
You just kept going.
Yeah. At this
Don't
point,
focus on it.
Yeah. But with time, you just learn how to cover.
Don't stop.
Just keep on moving.
Then people will definitely know you made a mistake. If you stop. Yeah.
Well, we have another song called "On the Right Track."
Ooh.
And that's featuring Tierra. And I believe you can tell the story about meeting Rudy Salas, right? In 2005, I believe.
Yeah, this was actually at the same time that I was working with Ursi, because we went to the Tierra studio that was located on Garfield and off the 60. And it was there for years, and it was Rudy's studio for quite a long time. So it was Ursi, myself, Mickey Lesperon from El Chicano, and Aaron Ballesteros, which was a longtime drummer for Tierra. And Rudy was there. I mean, I've been a fan of Tierra since even before Together was out, when Gonna Find Her was out, right? So that whole thing with Tierra, when Rudy heard me, he was in the control room, and he comes out, he says, "Joey, let me talk to you." So he pulled me out to the hallway. He says, "Man, we need a keyboard player, man. Are you interested?" That's all he said. I said, "Hell yeah, I'm interested. Of course, man. I'm a big fan." He goes, "Yeah, well," I said, "I'm one condition is I get my own room." He says, "Well, all right. So that's how it started. It was that simple, man. And it was being at the right place at the right time. So my tenure with Tierra lasted at least 2005 to 2022 when Rudy passed.
You wrote several songs with them, correct?
Well, I recorded on several songs, but this one in particular, and I wanted to feature it because this song I wrote with Rudy. He gave me that opportunity. He says, "Well, let's do something together." So I came up with the tracks, and I had him come up with I said, "Let's just call it On the Right Track." So he had gone home, and he came up with his lyrics. He came up with the melody, and I pretty much did everything else. The cool thing about this track is that it was the original bass player, man, Steve Folomir was his name. He came to my apartment at the time to record this. This was probably one of the last recordings he played on, right? It's Dale Villavicencio on percussion, and the horn players, Rudy Bubs Villa on saxophone and baritone, Jeff Lewis has been there for quite a long time, and Victor Cisneros, right? And it was having the band practically, well, they came in to do their overdubs there, man, and just to have those moments of the hang while they're cutting their tracks, that's gold.
Did these people read, or is it all just like memory?
No, I write charts for everybody.
Yeah,
they gotta read, and if they don't know how to read, I'll teach them. And it's but basically they'll have the roadmap. But when it comes to horns and everything, all that shit's got to be written. So you
helped arrange and write the song.
I did all the entire arrangement, including the horn arrangement on this.
Wow.
I love doing horns, man, because I'm a big Tower of Power.
I love the horns.
Yeah.
And who's singing on this?
This is Rudy singing.
Okay.
And on backgrounds, it's Victor Cisneros and myself.
Is any of the members of Tierra on this particular song?
Well, yeah, Steve Folomir, which was the original bass player from the very beginning, he's on there. And the other guys were longtime members, like Victor Cisneros. I think he joined in the 90s. Dale Villavicencio was Vicencio, which is on percussion.
All right. Well, we're going to hear the song On the Right Track featuring Tierra.
My life under cloud, always going the wrong direction, and I would always take the ball, but I never learned my lesson. Now I finally turned my life around. I'm on the right track, and I'm coming back. I got myself together. On the right track, baby, that's a fact. They said that I was just no good, and that I would never make it. And though it really hurt inside, I would just move on and take it. Now I find that it's a brand new day. On the right track, and I'm coming back. I'm gonna get myself together. Yeah, I'm on the right track, baby, that's a fact. Yeah, I'm gonna change my direction. Like a big old train coming down the track.
La vida puede ser un carnaval, el gran premio me espera. Para que aprendes, tú también lo puedes lograr, con esfuerzo siempre en manera. Rudy toca la guitarra.
Wow, that's an upbeat Chicano song. Love the horns.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
So, as a music producer, can you share a project that you particularly are proud of and why? That's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question. There's been a lot of them, man. Oh, there was a cat that I produced named Kyle Wolverton, right? And this is for this it's kind of a smooth jazz thing, right? Ever since I moved to LA, I had my go-to guys, you know. So if I ever needed drums on anything, I would go to Joey Heredia, because he was just such a diverse cat. You know, he can play anything, man. Just like Rene Camacho and all these other guys. So with Kyle, it was very interesting because we wanted to feature cats that were involved or just either legendary, right? So we did a couple of tunes at Joey's studio. It was Joey Heredia on drums, but I got to work with we got Abraham Laboriel on bass. Now Abraham, his son is the drummer for Paul McCartney. He's been there for years, right? But Abraham, man, he's a veterano, man. He's been in the scene for 50 years, right? Originally from Mexico City. A lot of people don't, I think it was Mexico City, or at least from Mexico, right? But I've always wanted to work with him, and he's one of these people that when he walks into a room, he's got this aura, man. You know he's a special cat, you know. He's older now, and he's got totally white hair, you know, very, very dark complected, but white hair, and just like looks like a santo. And when you're speaking to him with all the history, man, you can just really feel it. So anyway, it's Joey Heredia on drums and Abraham Laboriel. So I'm producing this thing, and Abraham's right here, right next to me, you know, and reading one of my charts, and it's like, holy moly, right? That's really, really cool. And there's a lot of those type of moments that you don't realize until maybe years after, you know, because you're so involved in what's going on. You got a job to do, you know.
So as a producer, what's your approach to collaborating or picking the ideal musicians to collaborate with on a particular song or album?
Well, the song will always call for it, you know. I'm fortunate enough to have enough names in my Rolodex to be able to choose. If I need a reggae bass player, man, I'll call Keith Jones on that, man. You know, Keith is from Jamaica, and he's just I know that I'll get results. So it all depends on the tune. You know, everybody's got their own niche.
All right. Well, we have another song coming up called Can't Stop the Feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? I believe that was produced in 2009.
Yeah. This is the same artist that I'm talking about, Kyle Wolverton, right? So on this particular track, it's Johnny Sandoval on percussion. I cut his percussion in that closet we were talking about, right? And Rene Camacho is my go-to guy because Rene is just it's not just his technique, man, and the bass that he owns, man. But every time you work on his tracks, man, it doesn't need anything. You don't have to cut out bottom. You don't have to just little compression, and it's there. He's just so dialed in. It's a great track. Who else is on this? I think it's just Kyle and I, and Renee and Johnny. Oh, guitar player. God, who was playing guitar? It'll come to me at the end of the tune. But anyways, I hope you enjoy this track.
All right. It's called Can't Stop the Feeling. Relaxing and smooth. Do you remember the guitar player now?
Oh, Brian Price on guitar. He played with the Crusaders. Anyway, there was one time I was coming home from a Tierra rehearsal, right? And I put on the wave about 11 o'clock at night, and they were playing this tune. I was like, yeah, we did good.
So it hit the radio.
Good. Yeah.
Nice.
So we got airplay.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of being an instructor or teacher at the Los Angeles College of Music, have you ever taught or mentored younger musicians?
Not until I got this opportunity, because teaching, I'll tell you something about teaching. You got to learn how to do it. And it's a lot. It's a whole other skill set, man, because you're dealing with individuals, and you have to craft their curriculum.
Keep their attention.
You got to keep their attention, but you got to make sure that they realize what they need help on, more than anything. A lot of people, they want to play, but nowadays, man, people don't want to put the time into getting good.
How did you land that teaching gig?
Through Joey Heredia, actually. He's my main drummer there, and he was teaching at Los Angeles College of Music, so he asked me to help him with his Latin program. So he needed a bass player and a keyboard player to play the songs that he was teaching to the other drum students, right? And I stuck to that. I really was curious, and I was like, holy moly, this particular school's got a wonderful faculty, great faculty. And I started hearing the other teachers, and it's like, well, if I get involved here, maybe one door can open. That's exactly what happened. So after a year doing that, then Dave Posey, the head of one of the departments, says, well, you want to try to run an ensemble? So yeah, and all that is just being an MD. So it's just being an MD, and after 10 weeks they have a final performance.
Do you enjoy teaching?
Oh yeah, I love teaching. One opportunity led to another, and it started snowballing there because this particular school has a very good vocal department. So they have 2 studios in there. So on the production side, there's been some wonderful opportunities where one of my favorite classes is I have singers come in, and their assignment is to redo a song that's been already popularized. So I always start them with a Fleetwood Mac and Dreams. Is it?
Yeah, there's a song called Dreams.
Yeah, because it's a simple tune, and you can go a lot of different ways. And these students, man, since the pandemic, man, they all had to learn how to use Logic on their laptops because they couldn't come to school, right? So they all became producers in their own rights, and they started finding their own voices earlier than if it was any other way, right? And some of these recordings that I get from these kids are really good, man. It's like, yeah, if this person plays their cards right, you're going to hear from them.
Wow, interesting. Well, we have another song called Strawberry Moon.
Ooh, yeah.
What can you tell us about that? I believe it was produced in 2012.
Yeah. This song was actually produced by Paul Brown. I always wanted to work with Paul Brown in the smooth jazz realm. When I was working with Kyle, he was already well-known producer. He's worked with anybody that's out there, even today, Boney James, Jesse J, which has seen a lot of success. Worked with Al Jarreau, and I think he also with Luther Vandross back in the day. He's got a beautiful studio in this place, man. It looks like a room like this, but he's got a Neve board in there. So I kind of like. I've always been a producer, but I kind of like handed over the reins, right? So we were able to talk Ricky Lawson into playing drums for us. Now, Ricky was the drummer for the Yellow Jackets back in the day, man, and it was very progressive. And he wrote a bunch of tunes. So the first time I worked with Ricky, I was starstruck, of course, right? Then he went on to record with Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston. You know that big note on Whitney Houston? Boom! And that's Ricky Lawson.
Wow.
Right. So he's on this, and actually we recorded it live, and we videotaped it. Of course, Lenny Castro and then Roberto Velli on bass. But shortly after this was recorded, I want to say a couple of months, this was one of Ricky's last recordings because he passed away of brain aneurysm about 2 or 3 months after that. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Well, this song we're going to play is called Strawberry Moon, and I hope the audience enjoys it. That's a chill song, great piano work.
Thank you.
We've got another song coming up called Hermano.
Ooh.
And I'd like to hear from you about this song. I saw the video of it.
Yeah.
It was on the I Ride musical journey, right?
Yeah, on the documentary.
On the documentary.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Tell us about that.
Oh my God! Well, this song is a melody that I've had in my head. I was inspired, of course, by Little Joe, and we've been listening to Little Joe music all our lives, you know. So it was something that I wanted to do something different, man. And this melody kept on going through my head for the past 20 years, almost 20, 25 years. So I thought, well, since I'm working with Rudy and Steven at the time, I wanted to write it with Rudy and Steve, right? They liked the melody. And imagine that I'm in this room with Rudy and Steve Salas, right, presenting the song. They said, all right, well, let's write it together. I said, well, we don't really speak Spanish. I said, oh, que sala. I said, all right. So then I thought to myself, because with Tierra, we've done a lot of shows in Texas, you know. So I think we did the Tejano Awards one year. And it was just such a joy to meet Little Joe, right? And there's been shows. He's one of the only artists outside of Ibrahim Ferrer where I'd be sitting in the side of the stage just watching him, and every time he gets me, man, I'm sitting there, tears coming out of my eyes, man. So then we did some shows with Johnny, and you know, Johnny, his brother Johnny was just as important to Tejano music with the songs that he sang, especially with them both singing Las Nubes. And I came later to realize that it was Johnny that sang Total. And if you guys haven't heard that particular song on that particular album, man, it's a masterpiece, right? I always thought it was Joe, and then Johnny said, no, that was me, man.
Who wrote the horns for Little Joe?
Well, he had these arrangers. I can't recall their name, man, but they were they all went to Texas State or something. There was a really good music school over there. So that was another
they sound
example.
like the Tonight Show. And
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
You know?
Well, see, that was an example of them being in the forefront of Tejano music, where that's a blend of polka or corrida and jazz, and they're the ones that started that whole movement, or the marriage between the two genres. So I thought, well, you know, Johnny's a cool cat, man. I got his number, you know. So I called him out of the blue. He goes, I remember who you are. I said, yeah, man, I've been a fan. My brothers and I love your music. We've been doing, you know, your tunes forever. So I said, I've got this tune, man, that I need help writing, man. I just would love to write it with you. He goes, sure, all right. So I put up a GoPro. Right, and I put him on speakerphone, and I got the entire session somewhere, just him and I just bouncing ideas off of it, right? And I wanted to record this with my brothers. I said, if I can get the Solid Brothers, hell, I'll do it with my own brothers, right? And that's how this whole song came to be, man. It's a beautiful tune, and the lyrics all came together within about 45 minutes. So I would explain to Johnny, you know, okay, this is what I'm feeling. It's my apology song to my brothers, you know, for the times that I wasn't a very good brother. And so that kind of set the mood, and it kind of wrote itself from there.
So Art and David are on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's playing what?
Well, actually, it's all recorded live with Rene Camacho on bass, Johnny Sandoval on drums. Who else is that? It's just myself and Brandon Fields, on saxophone. Recorded in Brandon Fields' studio. So everything you see on the video, everything you hear on the video was recorded as it was happening.
Nice. What I liked about this song was it's interesting because it starts out sort of jazzy, and then it transitions into an almost mariachi-style ballad.
Yeah.
But not with, you know, the guitars and all. But that's what it reminded me of. And I was going to ask who was singing on it, but you guys answered my question. The two Navarro brothers here.
The Navarro bros.
Oh, actually, it's Joe in the order, then David, then me, and then all together.
So you're on it too, singing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm looking forward to hearing this song, and I hope the audience enjoys it as well. It's called Hermano.
Right on.
Lo siento, hermano. Ha pasado un tiempo, ya ves, sin visitarnos. Pero no te preocupes, el destino nos lleva donde debemos estar. ¿Quién iba a pensar? Pues seguimos cantando las canciones que con emociones nos hizo llorar. Pero un día me fui, yo seguí mi camino sin pensar del dolor que causé dentro de tu corazón.
Hermano querido, hermano, ay Dios mío, ya viejos estamos. Alegría en nuestra familia, celebramos nuevos cumpleaños. Ay familia, querida familia, nos amamos con todo el alma. ¡Uy!
Lo siento, hermano. Solo pido que tú me perdones porque te ofendí. Te lo juro por Dios que te entrego mi vida, porque somos hermanos de pura familia y del corazón.
Hermano querido, hermano, ay Dios mío, ya viejos estamos. Alegría en nuestra familia, celebramos nuevos cumpleaños. Ay familia, querida familia,
nos amamos con todo el alma.
Beautiful song. Well, you were saying that you finished up at 8 in the morning on this song?
No, we started at 8 o'clock, but
okay.
We started drinking shots at 8 in the morning.
We had to celebrate, man. You know, let's get this thing done.
Right on. So you were honored here in Arizona, March 10th, 2022. Can you tell us about that experience?
That was quite an experience, man. Never thought in my wildest dreams something like that would be bestowed on upon me. It actually started with my brother David. He says, "Hey man, when are you coming back to Arizona?" Right, and that's how the whole thing started, because David had a close relationship with Diego, and he was a senator. He was in the House of
Representatives, I think.
Yeah, Diego Espinosa. Yeah, right. And you can tell the story better than I.
Yeah, I think when It started, Diego had actually brought it up initially, and then had asked when Joe was going to be in town, because Diego's always followed all the groups too, and we've known Diego literally since he was in diapers. Our parents baptized him, so that's we've known him since he was a baby, so was always very close to the family, and always had a passion for music himself. I think he got into the congas and all that, but when he had Fuego, Tierra would always stop in there on the way out of town, so he became close with them. So as we're getting older, I guess just Diego had always had that appreciation, and he's the one who had mentioned it to me, saying, hey, when's your bro gonna be in town? I'd like to do something special, which I thought, maybe a little birthday party at Fuego or whatever. So no, it's gonna be a little more than that, So let me know, let's shoot for a date and see when we can get him in here. And yeah, he got the wheels in motion to issue that proclamation. It's more than I even thought it was gonna be. So big shout out to Diego. He loved that guy very much, and was very close to our parents as well. So
Yeah.
Nice. So you got on the house floor?
Yeah. Actually,
How did that feel?
it was pretty surreal. It really is, because you understand the history of what happens. How the laws are made and all and everything that entire process. When I saw those desks, I said, "Holy moly!" It's just every single person that's here has been elected to do something special for their communities, and Diego fits that bill perfectly. He's always been involved, and motivated. It was one of the proudest moments in my life, man. And coming from him, because he, as a child, he used to come to our rehearsals.
Is he younger than you guys?
He's David's age.
he's
I think.
he's a few years younger than I am.
Yeah. So, they read the proclamation, and it was I felt a little lightheaded, because I didn't have any sleep. It took a day and a half to just get everything ready to get there. But who was the
Rusty,
Rusty? Yeah.
Who was he?
Russ,
the
Speaker of the House. Yeah.
He read it?
No, he had somebody read it, but as they were reading it, I noticed that he looked up, and then he just got up off his chair and just was watching me with this big smile. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, right, that kind of thing. But it was a special thing, man. Hats off to Diego and Contreras, which what was African? Lupe Contreras also had part of that, So kudos to them. It was Joey Navarro Day for one day.
Right on.
I want to remind everybody that actually tomorrow is Joey Navarro Day in Arizona.
Oh, that's
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, March 10th.
Oh, that's true.
all right. Yeah.
I had to put that on the internet and
Put it. Yeah. I'll put a Venmo up.
That's an honor, man. It really is. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
It's a lifetime achievement kind of thing,
Yeah.
to be recognized like that. So I'm going to play another song called Out of the Box. It's featuring your brother, Art Navarro.
Oh.
Yeah.
I believe that was produced in 2023.
Yes, indeed.
It's a great love song.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you lost somebody you loved. You were reflecting on the past. Thought you were in love, but you did not know about love. And you were in a state of denial, waiting on what you should do about the situation.
is this after the tequila?
Yeah. Now you're hoping to realize by thinking out of the box how to make her mine. Did I got it right?
Yeah. That's
Tell me about that song.
Joey and Stuart Ziff, right?
Stuart Ziff, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one at that time, the bass player for War. They got together.
Guitar player.
Guitar player,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
And they'd put it out. Joey sent me a rough draft of it, and I'd listened to it, and sorry guys.
Okay.
So I've been listening to it off and on for about a year, and Joey came back in one time, and I said, "What are you doing with that song? You know, that are you going to re-record? Are you going to record it? What are you going to do?" And he goes, "I don't know." He said, "Why? You want to record it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Why not? You know." Shit, before I knew it, I was in L.A. in the Joey studio. And he had most of the tracks. I did the vocals, and all the vocals on there are me. It sounds like a bunch of people, but Joey had me do like 36 tracks in one day or something like that.
Yeah, just like Billie Eilish.
But it turned out completely different than what the original recording was, and through Joey's masterful production and stuff, and I really like. I'm obviously biased, but I really like the way it came out. You know, so
That sounds great. Sounds really good.
Yeah. So there was, in the last couple of weeks, man, there's been a little more added to this song. So as Art said, Stuart Ziff and I wrote this song. Stuart Ziff, I met him. He was a guitar player for War for the longest time, right? So, and he's an educator at MIT, which is another college right in Hollywood. And he says, well, let's get together and let's write a tune. So I invited him over, and we just sat there and said, well, what's it going to be based on? Okay, let's base it on a guy that's already got all his shit together and wants to make room. He's ready for that commit. He's looking for somebody to share his life with. So it's basically that. So I'm glad that it was resurrected with Art. It gave us the opportunity. So on this track, when I initially recorded it, it was it's a sax army. It's all sax. It's not really a horn section, but it's Brandon with playing baritone, tenor, and alto, right? And just ripping through it. Of course, Rene Camacho on bass, right? And that's Stuart playing all the guitar parts, right? But the story, the kicker on this is that I was looking for a drummer because I wanted real drums, and it's a real B3 in there. So I hired my friend Joel Taylor, right? And Joel Taylor has played with a lot of the great jazz artists. The guitar player that used to play with Return to Forever. It'll come to me. It's been a long day. But anyway, he's really renowned with a lot of the jazz artists. The last time I seen him play was with Jeff Lorber at the Baked Potato.
All right, we're in for a treat. Out of the Box, featuring Art Navarro. We hope you enjoy it.
I hope you do.
Time I thought I was in love, though I didn't know a thing about it. In the course of the day, the unexpected tends to play dirty trick on my heart. Seems there's nothing I can do about it. I've been masking my emotions in a state of denial, waiting for the cue to tell me what to do. About the situation, reason for elation. Now I hope to realize. Got me thinking right out of the box. Maybe I'm the one that needs to change and rearrange my life. Thinking right out of the box, and I know I got to make you mine. I've been accustomed living in the sanctuary of my skin. I've been down on the mend, now the sun is shining down on me. Oh yeah, is the time ever right? I'd like to talk to you tonight. I don't need the sound vein, you're the only thing that's
Love that song. Your brother has a great voice.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Where do you see your musical career in the next 5 to 10 years?
At this point, man, being at the age of 62, man, I've had a wonderful run already. I've already, gone through the being an artist, being an educator, being a producer, being a sideman for these wonderful groups, I just want to leave as much music as possible at this point. And if I get to tour with this band, that'd be the icing on the cake. In our generation, man, as you see, we start losing friends, we start losing friends to diseases, and people are getting sick, especially musicians, So I just want to honor everybody that's helped me along the way. I want to mention that I really appreciate what you're doing. You are putting Arizona on the map. I've listened to almost every one of your shows, man, and I want to send a shout out to Andy Gonzalez, Zarco Guerrero, and Carmen, because I played with Zoom Zoom.
I heard you went to Japan with him.
Oh, that's another hour. Yeah, we had a great time, man. But that was part of the process, and I'm so proud of him and Quetzal, which is a world traveler now. I used to live right next door to him. So yeah. So well, I'm digressing again. But Andy Gonzalez, Freddie Duran, man, that was a great story, And then of course my boy Gustavo, man. I've produced probably 10 songs with Gustavo Angeles, man, and he's another person that's come from another place and has made his way here, and he continues to write these beautiful songs. The last 2 songs are, I think, some of our best work together. So Gustavo Angeles, and I want to do a special shout out to New Destiny.
Okay.
Because I've been following them. We all came.
They've
up
been around
together.
since the 70s, right?
Well, yeah, close to the 70s when Benny Banda was part of them, But Gary Romero primarily, man, I love these guys to death, and
his son is a great drummer too.
Oh yeah, and a good businessman too, because he's keeping the legacy happening.
Going,
man.
yes.
I talked to Gary last night, and it was one of the best conversations, man, because I'm very proud of him. He's taking care of everything now, the booking, the social media, and he's become a wonderful pocket drummer, man. They sounded great. Kenny on guitar, they sounded wonderful. But I want to tip my hat to those guys, man.
Right on.
For
great band.
Continuing, yeah.
Yeah, they're actively working all the time.
Yeah, they work like 4 nights a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you hope listeners will take away from your music and even some of your experiences we talked about today?
That they just realize that I'm a kid from Tolleson that took a chance. A lot of things, man. Sometimes your purpose gets presented to you at an early age. I think I was lucky. Do I have regrets? Of course I do. Everybody has regrets. Have I made mistakes? Oh my God, yes. I'm still learning from them. But if I can share some of that wisdom to anybody, and hope to just give them at least my perspective. That's all I could ask for, man. I'm a kid from Tolleson. I've worked the onion fields, man. I worked with Rudy and Steve Salas. I worked with some of the best drummers in the world. Vinny Caliuta, Ricky Lawson. I've gotten to record with these guys. I got to work with Ry Cooter. I'm a kid from Arizona, man. And it just continues.
That's awesome.
I got a call, and I'll just make this briefly. I've been working with Benny Rietveld, which is a bass player for Santana, right? And I've done a lot of shows with him at the Baked Potato. Carl Perazo, which is also the percussionist. Through the years I've gotten to work with him. I get a call one day. I'm running errands. Says, "Hey Joey, this is Carl Perazo." I said, from Santana. I said, "Oh my God." He says, "Hey man, what are you doing this weekend?" This was on a Thursday. He says, "What are you doing this week?" I said, "Well, what's going on?" He says, "We need a keyboard player." And I thought to myself, does he have like a a corporate band or something? I said, who? I said, he says, Santana. He says, our keyboard player's got COVID, and we need somebody to cover. And your name came up because I've been working with Andy Vargas and Benny, right? 30 years I've been waiting for this call, right? It's like, oh my God. He says, keep your phone on. I've got, he says, management's going to call you. So I called Art. I said, Art, with Santana, blah, 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 right? Then I get a call from the manager. The manager says, I don't even know where to start, man. We need you. Can you make it to Vegas tomorrow? What do you want to do? You want to fly? You want to, this happened within 5 minutes, like a life-changing experience. And I thought, well, do you guys got any charges? He says, no, we just have a Dropbox with all the MP3s of the live show. So in one day I had to learn it, all that stuff. So I chose to drive so I can listen. And have my wife drive while I'm doing my homework. So I get home and I'm writing all the charts and I'm just listening to this and trying to keep everything under wraps because I don't want to jinx it, right? So I'm writing my charts and then finally we get there. We go to the House of Blues. They've got a residency there. I forgot the hotel. But anyway, so I get there. And I get the star treatment, man. The manager comes out and says, this is Joey Navarro. He's playing with Santana tonight. You give him his room, right? Because they didn't even have my name at the desk, right? So they gave me the keys to a suite, a 2-bedroom suite, 30 floors up, right? And it was a beautiful suite. It was laid out. So I had to go to sound check very quickly. So I went through I made it to the stage. I had to test for COVID, and I passed it. And I'm looking at the setup because I know this David. His name is Dave Matthews too. He's got he's got the B3, a Wurlitzer on this side, and these other keyboards. So I'm making my way. Just it's 3:00. We got a 4:00 sound check. I'm going through all these tunes, and I was so tired at this point. It's like I just hope I can make it through. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. 4:00 rolls around. I'm looking around. I said, wait a minute. We should already be sound checking. 4:15, 4:30, right? Where are the guys at, right? So there's a tech that came out, and he comes up to me, and he's like this. He leans against a B3. I said, hey, man, it's 4:15, man. Where's everybody at? He says, no, it's over. I said, what do you mean it's over? I don't even get a sound check, and you guys expect me to play tonight? He says, no. The entire weekend is canceled because Santana tested positive for COVID.
Oh, my gosh. What a disappointment.
I felt like somebody just kicked me in the you-know-what. Poof, I went over this way. I said, oh, my God. I started cracking up laughing, man.
All that nervousness.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what am I going to do, man? Sit there and cry, right? Yeah. So then Benny and Andy came out and said, hey, man, so sorry about this, man. And Carl Perazo, these guys, man, that got me on the gig. Benny says to me, he put his arm around me. He says, hey, man, at least you didn't make any mistakes.
Do you still get paid for those?
Well, this is what happened. So then another manager comes. He says, Joey, come here. Santana wants to talk to you. So I go across to the other side of the stage. I get a mask on, and now he says, wait right here. I'm right. The green room was right here. So I'm thinking Santana is right in the other side of this door, right? Then another manager, because he's got 4 managers, comes and taps me on the shoulder. He says, come here. All right. So I followed him, paid me right there for the entire thing.
Nice.
Holy moly. Right? And that was a so stand-up thing to do. Then I turn around, Richard, and there's Santana, as far as you are.
Wow.
Says, man, Joey, I was looking forward to this, man. I heard a lot about maybe next time, just gave me. He says, I'm sorry I can't shake your hand, man, but,
Was that the first time you met him?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Wow.
So it's good to know that down the line, maybe
You never know.
That'll happen.
Never know. That's an awesome story. So what advice would you give to other young up-and-coming musicians?
Most importantly is to learn how to play with a metronome. There's that's it. If you can't groove, if you can't play with a metronome, because soloing is one thing, but like Walfredo Reyes Jr. told me one time, he says, every gig that I've gotten, it wasn't because of a solo that I took. It's because he grooves. because of its groove. That's it. So learn how to play with the metronome. You must. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. You got to learn how to take play in time, or else nobody's going to want to play with you. Number one. Number two, every musician is responsible for time, not just a drummer. So if the drummer is not playing, you're still responsible for time. Number three, look around at your, if you're playing in a gig, you got to make sure that you're looking at everybody, and you're connecting to that same energy. Or if somebody's trying to let you know, hey, turn the hell down, or hey, turn up, or take a solo, right? Don't have your head buried in a chart. Always be paying attention.
That's true. You got to keep looking around. I tell people when we're playing, look at everybody.
Yeah.
Because by looking at them, they can give you signals.
Right,
hey,
right.
Go up, go down. Hey, you're messing up. Whatever.
Right.
So a few more questions. Where do you regularly play at, and where can people come see you?
Okay, currently I'm playing with El Chicano. I've been playing with them for 10 years since Bobby passed away, so I know we have a few things coming up. I think we're playing in Tucson in May with Tierra Legacy, which is Rudy Sala's son. So I'm playing actually with both the bands. So anywhere El Chicano's playing, hopefully I'm there also, Tierra Legacy, we just did the Farmers Insurance, the stadium, Cardinal Stadium. We just played a car show there yesterday. That's why I'm in town. And my band, the Joey Navarro Latin Funk Band, we primarily play at the Baked Potato, and I'm just looking for venues. We are looking for a venue to be able to play here. I want to bring this band to Arizona. That's my main goal. That would be
nice.
That's this month's main goal, because you just have to experience this band. There's nothing like it, so...
And Baked Potatoes in Studio City, California.
Yeah, Studio City, California. It's literally across the street from Universal Studios on the other side. It's a club that's been there for 60 years, and it's a staple in L.A. It's probably the hippest jazz club this side of the Blue Note, maybe in New York or something, yeah.
Nice. And if people want to listen to your music, where can they find your music?
On all digital formats. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify. You have to go under Joey Navarro or Joey Navarro Music. Just punch my name in there, and all this music should come out. I also have a lot of video content on YouTube. You can go into youtube.com/Joey Navarro Music. I'm also on Instagram under Joey Navarro Music. Also on TikTok. Yeah.
All right. And if people want to contact you for gigs or for projects, how do they get a hold of you?
You can actually get a hold of my brother Art, which is my manager now, at 818-300-5150. That's 818-300-5150. His name's Art Navarro.
Right on. And that's your older brother who's your agent manager.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool guy. Before we leave, I'm going to play two final songs called La Máscara and After Party. Can you tell me a little bit about both songs before we leave the show?
Yeah. La Máscara I wrote about the same time that I wrote Paraiba, and it was to challenge my musicians. I started getting into this whole Latin timba vibe thing, playing with Joey Heredia. Now, the track is really special because Joey Heredia, I've been talking about him a lot in this interview. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's about 7-8 months ago, right? And he's no longer playing. So this song, this is him cutting a demo with just 3 mics, a mic up here overhead, a snare mic, and a kick mic, right? And we had to mix it that way because we couldn't multi-track it. And it sounds wonderful, right? Everything that he played at first, I kind of wrote the song around him. So that has, of course, Rene Camacho, Brandon Fields, Michael Angel Alvarado on guitar, Joey De Leon on timbales, and congas.
Right on.
So that's that song. After Party is a song that I wrote with Brandon Fields, the sax player. and it's a funky.
Yeah,
little
it is
thing.
funky. I was listening to the talk box that was used, and
Oh, yeah.
it reminded me of the old school Zap sound, you know?
Yeah.
I like that song.
Thank you.
And who's on that song?
Okay, yeah, Brandon Fields on sax, Rene Camacho on bass, on guitars Michael Angel. It's the same cast, Michael Angel, Alvarado, and on percussion it's Joey the Leon, and I did the drum programming on that tune. Yeah.
Right on. Well, I hope the audience enjoys La Máscara and After Party, and I thank you so much. And it was a great honor to meet you. I've been wanting to meet you for a long time, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
All right.
I wanna take you to the after party, yeah. That's where the real party gets started. The way you move, the way you groove, makes me wanna dance with you all night. And do you want, baby, baby? You never know who's gonna show to the after party. I wanna take you to the after party, yeah. That's where the real party gets started. The way you move, the way you groove, makes me wanna dance with you all night. And do you want, baby, baby? You never know who's gonna show to the after party.
I'm cold like chill. Come over. I'm cold like chill. Come over.
You've been listening to Offstage with DJ Law. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word. And don't forget to also spread positive vibration.